You're trying to feel confident before taking action, but here's the thing. Confidence is built by taking action, but it doesn't feel good in the short term. I'll repeat that because that's important. Confidence is built by taking action, but it doesn't feel good in the short term. Conversely, avoiding things does feel good in the short term, but it's a problem because in the long term, you're not getting to build your skills. This is the Back to Work podcast for stay-at-home moms who are thinking about going back to work but terrified about what that means. Maybe you're facing resume gaps or a few outdated skills, not to mention juggling kids, life, and well, everything. We get it. We've been there and we've got you. We know this isn't just about getting work. It's about finding a job that fits you and your life. Every week, you'll hear tips, advice, and stories, all designed to help you go back to work. Hit the subscribe button and never miss an episode. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Back to Work, the podcast for stay-at-home moms who are thinking about going back to work but aren't sure where to start. So I always say, start here. So this week, I want to talk about avoiding things. I was just helping somebody look for a job the other day, and they really do not like the job search process. So they just needed a little extra motivation, a little extra push, some extra support. And this person wants to find a job, but they just keep putting it off and dragging it out. And I was really thinking about this, and I realized that this person is avoiding this process for a very specific reason, but it's not really the reason that you would think. So let's talk about it. Avoiding is not laziness, and it's not a lack of discipline. It's definitely not proof that you don't want it bad enough. This is what was drilled into our heads from a very young age. But avoiding is actually a very protective strategy that your brain uses to reduce stress. Now, your brain thinks this approach is brilliant. You feel discomfort. Your brain says, I don't know about this. This feels risky. You pull back. And then you feel relief, mission accomplished. And that relief is powerful. It feels like control. It feels like safety. And that's just where our brain likes to be, into a nice, cozy blanket of safety. But relief is not progress. And when you're thinking about going back to work or in the middle of a job search, this can be a big problem. So let's talk about why the job search specifically can trigger avoidance. It really makes perfect sense if you think about it. Going back to work after staying at home is not just a logistical shift. It's emotional. It pokes at your identity. It pokes at your confidence. Looking for a job requires you to put yourself out there in a way that you haven't in a long time, probably. You risk being ignored or rejected. You are explaining your story. You're meeting and impressing new people. You are being evaluated and judged. And that is a lot for one nervous system. So, of course, you want to avoid it. You tell yourself, I'll update my resume next week. I'll do more research first. I need more research. I should wait until the kids are older. I need to feel more confident before I apply. All of that sounds reasonable, but here's what's actually happening. You're trying to feel confident before taking action, but here's the thing. Confidence is built by taking action, but it doesn't feel good in the short term. I'll repeat that because that's important. Confidence is built by taking action, but it doesn't feel good in the short term. Conversely, avoiding things does feel good in the short term, but it's a problem because in the long term, you're not getting to build your skills. And the longer you wait, the bigger that gap feels, the harsher your self-talk gets, the more you start to compare yourself to others, the more you start believing that you're behind, the more daunting every application feels. Avoiding doesn't actually remove the discomfort. It only delays it. And then it compounds it because you're not building the skills to get better at the thing that you're avoiding. And now you're in the loop. You're avoiding the thing because it's scary. The thing becomes scarier because you're not building the skills to master it. which leads you to avoid the thing because now it's even scarier, and so on and so on and so on. Now, I want to be honest with you. The middle part of any new process sucks because that's where the doing, the failing, the learning, that's where all of that happens. And the only way it gets easier is by doing it over and over and over again. Delaying the middle makes the whole process feel 10 times harder than it needs to be. It's better if you can just jump in with both feet and start doing and failing right away, because that's when you learn and you start to master. The mastery is in the doing. And once you're in mastery, it feels like no big deal. So let's talk about what you're actually avoiding and what to do about it. So number one, I don't know what to put on my resume. Now, this is a big one because it triggers the fear that you've done nothing valuable while you're at home, which is not true, by the way. But that blank page you're staring at is reinforcing that thought. So in order to break this imposter syndrome trance, just start brain dumping on the page everything that you've done in the last 5 to 10 years, and that includes everything, paid and unpaid. No formatting, no perfection, just data. And now throw that into your favorite AI tool and prompt it to look for skill patterns, and that's where you start. Number 2, what if I apply and no one gets back to me? To your nervous system, this feels like I don't belong here, which basically brings you back to middle school. So no wonder you want to avoid this. Who wouldn't? But you need to know that there are so many reasons why companies don't get back to you. And 99% of the time, it has nothing to do with you. How could it, really? They don't even know you. They're looking at a computer screen and assessing if the skills fit the job, and that's it. And that's only one of the possible reasons that they might not call you back. There are a whole bunch of other reasons. Number 3, what if I change my mind? So you keep your idea of going back to work to yourself. You don't tell your spouse or your partner. You don't tell your friends. You keep researching it quietly because once you say it, it becomes real, and that's scary. But when you stay silent, it keeps you stuck in limbo. So you're not making a decision either way. So that idea of going back to work just constantly feels scary to you because you're not making a decision. So the best cure for this is to just jump in with both feet. Skill comes from repetition. Confidence is not a prerequisite. That is the result. Now, if going back to work sounds scary to you, and you don't know what your next step is, I want to tell you about my brand new tool called Start Here. It's a free strategic 10-minute plan that takes you step by step to the first 4 things you need to do when you're deciding to go back to work. And you can find it inside my Back to Work community that lives on a platform called School. And what's great about this is that you get the tools to start building your way back to work, and you're also part of a community where you can ask questions and get real feedback. In full disclosure, this group is new right now, which is great for you because if you join now, you'll be able to get more one-to-one attention from me. But that's not going to last forever. So I know that deciding to go back to work can feel overwhelming, but that is literally why I created this Back to Work community. You get the tools, the support, the strategy, and the guidance all in one place. I'll put the link in the show notes. I can't wait to see you there. And once you're there, tell me the number one thing that you're avoiding, and we can work on that together. Okay, that's what I have for you, everybody. Have a great week. Thank you so much for listening. Your support means the world to us. If this episode resonated with you, we invite you to subscribe to the podcast, share with another mom, and explore the links in the show notes. Remember, you and all moms deserve support on your journey back to work.